Thanks, Derek, for joining us tonight. Really excited to hear from him. Derek Axten is a farmer who is super interested in soil health and thinks about the well-being of his soil each time he goes out into the field. And his quest to improve the soil on their farm has led him to practices like intercropping, cover cropping, composting, and controlled traffic farming. And it sounds like he's got a lot of interesting things to share with us tonight. So I'll let you go ahead, Derek.
Okay, well, I'll just start like with the same thing, just a quick introduction. This is a picture of our farmyard actually about 4 years ago. Obviously, it's time for me to update, but just want to give everybody a bit of an idea of what it looks like where we farm. We literally farm up where they stopped breaking land. 40 miles west of us is solid pasture, native grass. So it gives you kind of an idea of the, the fragility of our soils and kind of what got me into making changes that we've done over the years. So I use this slide a lot. 2007, when I first met Dr. Dwayne Beck, that was kind of the beginning of our major changes, and then things I didn't even think of. He made just unbelievably apparent that when we want to start making changes and looking at how we farm, we need to have a look at our native systems. And it's something we weren't doing. So I actually found this picture from way back that's kind of what we used to think was a pretty field. It was just a monocrop and there's bare soil in between. And that used to be something I strive for when really right across the road was native prairie that had 125 plus species with ground cover and something growing basically as much as the climate would allow for. And there was a big difference between those two. So what do we have to do to try to fill that gap? So this is, I guess, a lot of what we do today. And I'm going to have this slide at the end, so this can probably stoke some conversation, but really this is what our farming system looks like today, all of these different parts. But for today's talk, I'm going to really focus on and then one thing I still think of, if I have an extra dollar or I have a farmer ask me where to start, for me, it's always adding more live roots. It's always, different seeds or different timings and all of those things, but around it's still just for us focuses a lot around live roots, simply because it's the root exudates and the live roots that drive the soil biology. My wife took the Life in the Soils classes back in 2015, which was kind of, I guess, partway through our journey when we actually learned that soil biology is something we can measure and then therefore manage. We started a large-scale compost operation, and we use compost as sort of not only a biological inoculant, but as like a nutritional amendment. And we've actually been really working on that part as well. But these are all the things that they really just show the importance of the photosynthetic process, right, and the power of the sun, and it just makes us think about using that to our advantage. So with diversity, there's so many ways we've learned to do it. I was lucky enough to run into Gabe Brown on one of my trips down to see Dr. Beck, for the 5th or 6th time, because I'm a slow learner, so it took me lots of trips. But I was lucky enough to run into Gabe Brown at a field day at Wing, North Dakota. And he invited us to his farm and showed us a lot of the things that he was doing. And Gabe's farm is only about 5 hours from mine. And we've actually got to be, I guess, friend or whatever you want to call it. And he's been a real big influence on us as far as practices and things. But the thing about Gabe is it's our ecological systems are very similar. We're only 5 hours, our rainfall's close, the kind of crops we can grow is similar. So he's been a big help, So with diversity, we just try to figure out how many more places can we, add diversity into things that we never thought we could before. So we've got the center picture is we've got pollinator strips around about 2,000 acres. We're going to expand that more. So we've got, about 60 feet around as many fields as we can. We've found, good value in that. Just an idea of some of the crops that we've grown over the years. And then with cover crops, which I kind of wanted to make sure I touched on cover crops because I think that helps with the program. We like to think of cover crops for two ways. One of them is it gives us an ability to kind of balance sort of the diet and fill the gaps in our growing season, right? But also the big thing for me that it took me a long time to understand was how when crops are growing early on, how the photosynthetic release, like the carbon transfer into the soil, the bulk of that happens prior, well, all of it happens prior to flowering, right? And that actually fits really well with the amount of time we're given in the fall. So fall seeded covers have been that's been probably our biggest use of cover crops. Spring seeded or overwintering have been a bit of a problem as far as using moisture and tying up nutrients and causing us some problem. But we've never to date had a problem with a winter or a fall seeded cover crop causing us problems in the following spring. The benefits far outweigh. You know, there are falls that are really dry. We can't grow anything. We've learned to sort of pick our battles, but you know, overall, it's still been a good experience. One of the nice bridge things we've done that are easy to do but don't cost a bunch of money are companion crops, where we'll like add a clover to one of our annual crops. That it's been, you know, so there's that's sweet clover with sunflowers. We've done other red clovers, yellow clovers with like so this is a mustard and pea intercrop that had a red clover underseed. And you know, at harvest, this is what the fields look like. So that, you know, you're sort of bridging that synthetic or that photosynthetic gap when the crop reaches senescence, but the clover is there to sort of take over, pass the baton, I kind of think of it as. And then that clover, you know, that's why I like this picture in the middle. That's at harvest. So we've already got that much new green growth. I know when we're that close, you know, when we're in harvest. So it bridges that gap. And it's something that's easy to do. We just add 3 pounds, 4 pounds of clover seed when we're seeding our annual crops, and it's kind of does it itself. Observing our results is a pretty easy thing to do. You don't have to have fancy tools. You know, we don't need to have a microscope. We do a lot of infiltration testing. This is one we did a couple of years ago. I keep on. One of the goals we shoot for is 2 inches in 9 minutes. That's on some of our better fields, more well-managed fields, we've been achieving that, which is really, that means any downpour, you know, the big rainstorms we get, because it doesn't seem like we get nice rain anymore. We just get angry rain when it does come, and we want to be able to capture that, you know. And then just observing things like, you know, dreadlocks on roots, color changes in soil. The shovel is probably one of our best tools. You know, we'd spend a lot of time out digging and looking at things. And all of this has led us to the realization, you know, because, you know, we aren't an organic farm, like we were, I guess by definition, a conventional farm, but all of this and the circles we travel in led us to the realization that we are growing food, and there's an opportunity for us to do something with that. So we've built this clean facility. We're in our kind of our second year. We're just in the middle of adding a flour milling line now and a packaging facility. And what we've found is the customers we're working with now, there's a spice company out of New York and a camelina company from Quebec that we work with, and really it's just been about flavor. And we think that just relates back to the soil and soil health and soil biology. So it's been really exciting. We actually had a couple of meetings today with a couple of new clients, and it's really exciting that it feels like the tide's finally turning. I don't know if anybody's heard of Will Harris, but he's the owner of White Oak Pastures, and he had a video called 100,000 Beating Hearts that was on Vimeo. It was probably one of the most powerful videos I've ever watched in my life. And it was prior to us building the seed plant and what he did for his community. And for me, that was, it still is today, one of the things that we do. We've hired, for the size of our farm, we have a lot more employees than a typical grain farm would have. And I think that's really important. You know, the soils, you know, the soil on the farm and our family is a big thing, but our community is something we really are concerned, you know, working towards rebuilding, because I'm sick of watching my town die and people leave. So we actually today, one of our seed plant operators went to Weyburn to sign papers on a house that he bought in Minton, and that that's super exciting. You know, people want to live in our town and put kids in our school, and yeah, so it's all part of the same. You know, we look at it very holistically. And I'm late, I'm not the winner, but this is our, anyway. So, and then I brought this slide in at the end. So if anyone wants to talk about any of these things, I've got 30 burner slides after that we can kind of go into any of these. And yeah, Steve beat me. They all beat me, I think, but it's a challenge. But
yeah, it's tough. That was awesome. Thank you. What is our time at, Tiara?
You did better than you think. You did. It was 8 minutes and 49 seconds.
Okay.
That was good.
That's very good.
Well, good. So it's really hard to get it out. There's more things I kind of wanted to say that I had in my head, but I mean, we can talk about whenever everybody wants to now. I mean, it's
Yeah, we'll pull those out in question period.